The lakes. They're the focus of life in the Okanagan. They're the reason that people came here in the first place, and they're why people are still coming. Early settlement by Europeans was based on drawing irrigation water from the lake to establish crops and orchards. The lake and its water is the key to the economy, the identity, even the soul of this place. There's so much lake water, it's easy to take it for granted. What we often don't understand is that most of the lake water is melt from the glaciers of the last ice age. Think of this old lake water as fossils, as fossil water. Only the top 1.5 meters is replenished every year from the land around the lakes. Most of that annual water supply comes from the winter snow in the surrounding mountains. We worry that as climate change sets in, there's a danger of less snow in the mountains and less runoff to the streams and the lakes. Higher temperatures mean more evaporation, and the combination of the two, more evaporation and less snow, could cause lake levels to drop. The water we use for agriculture and for urban economies is borrowed from the lakes. If we take too much water from the water cycle, we're mining that fossil water. Again, the danger is we will cause the lakes to drop. The consequences of a drop in the lakes affect us all. It would decrease recreation and property values, and would increase impacts on fish and wildlife. In many other places in the world, competition for water supply has been a source of bitter conflict among communities. Both agriculture as well as urban growth are important economic levers in the Okanagan. We need to support them both, but we also need both to grow while at the same time using the same amount or less water. As there are more vineyards and more homes, there needs to be less water use per plant or per person to allow that growth to occur without mining our fossil water in the lake. Most countries in the world use a lot less domestic water, that's water in the home, per person than in the Okanagan. In the Okanagan, we use about 2.5 times as much as people in Europe. We use about 1.5 times as much as the rest of Canada. Both Israel and Kelowna are in semi-desert landscapes, and yet Israel uses technology to thrive on about 1/4 of the water that we use here. If we let domestic water use go unchecked, the city of Kelowna will also have to invest many millions of dollars in new water supply infrastructure. The best bang for the buck in the city fiscal management is to invest in reducing the per person domestic demand for water. When we study the data on domestic water use in Kelowna, we also find that summer water use is more than 4 times winter use. Almost all of this increase is for outdoor watering of landscapes. So if we're going to grow but use less water per person, that landscape water use is a key place to look for improvement. We can look at what other places in the world that are short of water have done, and we can compare that to watering practices in Kelowna. When we do, it's clear that as much as 50% of outdoor water use here is over and above what's necessary to maintain an attractive household yard. The city is publishing brochures and this video series that explains how easy it is to have a great landscape while using much less water. There's some urgency here. If water reductions aren't achieved soon, the city's water action plan will miss its deadlines, and the city will have to consider having to construct more water supply, more money going into infrastructure. The other reason for saving water is therefore our own wallet, both our personal wallet and that of the ratepayers. Water has been priced much too cheaply in the past, and water rates are going up everywhere. As these water rates increase, the payback for using less domestic water on our landscape becomes quite persuasive. So, to protect the ratepayers and to protect the environment, the city has set targets for outdoor water conservation. The target is to further reduce our domestic water consumption by at least 15% by the year 2012. To do that, the focus is on changes to outdoor water practices in Kelowna. Because not every landscape will be redone in the next few years, to meet these targets across the community means that new landscape installations or landscape retrofits will need to reduce water use by at least 30%. The next time that you invest in building or retrofitting a landscape, will you work with this target? By working together, we can create beautiful landscapes and use a lot less water in doing it. We're sure of it.